Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the newly released HG Gundam AGE Magnum. So this kit released yesterday, and then I finished building it last night, so here we have the review. So I believe on the previous Build Fighter season we had the Gundam the AGE-2 Magnum, and that was a pretty good kit, and I am aware that a lot of people prefer the AGE-2 compared to the AGE-1. So AGE-2 was actually a pretty popular mobile suit than you think. So I guess that was their main choice. But I was really surprised to see now the champion, the original character who was using the Gundam AGE-2 Magnum, to now bring out a new kit or slash new mobile suit using the AGE-1 base. And I was very happy. Just to give you a clear idea, yes, it is still the same character. So we might actually see him in action in the anime soon, because we haven't seen him in action yet, or this mobile suit in action yet in the anime, so hopefully we can get to see it soon. Alright, so as you can see, my setup is a little bit messy because there's a lot of stuff to show you guys, and some of you guys actually were requesting some comparisons. So I only brought out well, currently you can't see, but behind this kit is actually the AGE-1 normal for, you know, basic comparisons, and then I also brought out the AGE-3 Fortress and then the AGE-3 Orbital just to clarify a few parts, because when I first saw this kit, I definitely saw like the legs and the side skirts were exactly the same parts from these two kits, but apparently they are not. Alright, so other than that, let's get on to the review. So let's go over components first, so I can also bring out some other parts. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the mobile suit itself, and then we still do get the tri funnels, I believe that's what they call it, but these funnels are pretty much, well, I can't say they're the exact same parts, but yeah, they're called the tri-funnels slash tri-birds. So basically they still have the same function as where you can detach one by one and then use them as funnels, but also on this specific kit it also has an extra function, which I will be doing in the demonstrations later. And for those who have been watching the premiere pics or the promotion pictures, you might have seen the cape. Yes, you also do get a cape, and I believe it's literally called the beam cape, and it looks pretty good. And at first in the image they look very small, but it's actually a pretty good size, and you can see it attaches to this gray part on the backpack. Okay, and hand-wise, I currently give it the multi-purpose hands for each left and right. Alright, so let's see what we got. So here are some basic stuff. So number one, let's see, yeah, the rifle. This is called the Tri-Dots rifle. So it's pretty much based on the original Gundam AGE-1 Dots rifle, but it's pretty much a longer version of that weapon. So I really love the looks of it. We still have the same sticker, and we still the same handle. Now this part is pretty much new, but still you can definitely see it's literally a longer version of the original. So yeah, that's a pretty good reference, and we still have the other handle. So for those who don't know, the Dots rifle originally could do a charge shot by twisting, by like moving this 90 degrees. Mine is a little bit stiff. It's very stiff for some reason, but basically you can do this and do a charge shot, so that's how the rifle works. Okay, and then we get these beautiful clear green parts. So these parts are meant for a specific sword that you can make with some other parts. So this and these two smaller versions are parts for the tri-blade, which looks like this. So those who've seen the promo pics or saw my pictures last night might have seen this sword. It is a very big sword, and I will get into that in the demonstration. So you get these beautiful effect parts. And this part that looks like a hammer, it's not really a hammer, but it's actually a part that you can use on the tri-blade. So it really depends on how you want to use the blade. So once again, I'll give you guys a demonstration later. Other than that, hand-wise, we get, well, before hands, we still get a action-based hole cover, and then we get a open hand for the left hand, pretty nice. And then here we have one of which everybody was kind of curious what this was, but basically we get a card holding hand. Now the card is actually wielded onto the hand, so you can't really detach that. And yes, the card is actually pure gray like the finger colors, but I decided to use a metallic Gundam green marker. And here is the sticker sheet, so here is what you're supposed to use. So yeah, I decided to skip on it and just use a clear Gundam marker, and I might have smudged it a bit, so I might need to recolor this, because I really did not get the smooth color, but still, I really like this hand. So for those who are curious or wondering what this hand is, the manual doesn't really mention what that is, but it only mentions that the the champion Kyoya Kujo is actually not, he is not only an expert on GBN but also the Gundam Tri-Age digital card game. That's the only thing that it mentions in the manual. So I don't know, maybe in this further series we might see a reference of this card game, or who knows, maybe Bandai is preparing a card game or not, who knows. But for now, all we can do is wait and see what happens. Okay, and then other than that, here are some other parts. So we still get the basic beam saber effect parts. Now, I believe these are the same flat beam sabers that you get from the Gundam Age series. But on the menu, they do mention that these are called the tri-arm sword, these effect parts, and they have the same output as the Gundam AGE-3 normal, because the AGE-3 was pretty much all about firepower, and even its beam rifle, beam sabers were very powerful. So that's actually something that a Gundam AGE-1 could use that. And then we do get an action base. You can see the action base comes with this, the typical usual connecting point, and this green part. So as I mentioned, the sword, the big giant sword, is actually, I actually did post it without this, but it's actually, the tri-slash blade is very heavy. So for those who are having trouble balancing the kit with the sword, they basically give you this part so you can lie the sword on top of it so you can balance it. And that's pretty good. Okay, and then here we have a sticker sheet. Now this may look like a lot. It may look like a lot, but it's not really that bad actually. There are some parts I did not use personally, like these ones. These big ones actually go on the back skirt and they require you to do the folding stuff, so I did not do that. These two goes onto the side skirt, but I really did not like how they work, so I decided not to use them at all. The other ones, they won't really, you really can't tell the difference. I mean, you won't really know them as well unless I mention them. So once again, I'll try to point them out, and yeah, hopefully it will help you out. And then let's see what we got. So we've seen all the basic stuff, so let's go over some leftover parts. So here are the ones I accidentally cut off. So this one is basically not exactly for this kit, but this is one of those option parts to connect other weapons to other kits. So yeah, and this one is actually the same leftover part from the AGE-1 normal. So if you want to make the AGE-1 flat version, this is what you use. So if you somehow want to do customization and don't want to have the AGE system right over there, this is what you use to block it off. Okay, and then we get some leftover polycaps. Nothing too special going on here. It was a pretty large polycap plate, but yeah, we still have some leftover pieces. And here we have some more leftover pieces from the original AGE-1 normal. So we have a shield part, we have the backpack part, we have the Dots rifle, the original one part, and the top. So if you want to make the original Dots rifle, you can make that, but you won't have the extra handle on the inside. So yeah. And yeah, here's one more leftover part. This is the shield connector, if I remember correctly. So you cannot make the shield because you only have this. And then here we have some more leftover parts from the A plate. So we have this part, which is from the original shield, but different color, which kind of matches the original AGE Magnum color scheme. Here we have the feet, because the feet, I believe, you use different designs, so we have leftover parts. Here we have the original backpack part, which that has the spoiler as well, but this is the original, while this kit actually has a more spoiler that looks like the AGE-2 version. And then we have the original V-fin part for the AGE-1 normal, and then the original front skirt parts for, I believe these are the front skirt, or it's either this or the back skirt, because yeah, they very look similar. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the kit, so let's see what we got. So that was pretty much it for the leftover parts. So before we go over any comparisons, let's go over some before we go for any articulation, let's do some basic comparisons. Sorry about that, my brain isn't working this morning. So let's do the basics. So here is it between the AGE-1 normal, and yeah, you can see definitely it is obviously based on the AGE-1 normal. There's not much to talk about. So head-wise, they decided to use a different V-fin, but still, like, it's kind of similar to the AGE-2 Magnum concept. And then the backpack you can see it has changed a lot. So let me just get this out of the way. So we have this. So they actually use a different spoiler design, and they no longer use this part. So because I believe the AGE-1, as much as the kit is amazing, I did hear some people have trouble modifying or customizing the kit because of the backpack aspect. So I think they decided to go with a different design as well. But they still do share a few things where, like, for example, this, you can still open this section up to be able to actually store the Dots rifle, which I'm not a big fan of this gimmick, but still just for the sake of it, the way how this works is that there should be a small holder, and you basically latch it inside there like that to store the beam rifle. So yeah. At this point, you can definitely tell the arms are different, the legs are different. So yeah, you can still see the base, but they definitely use a lot of different parts for certain areas. So yeah, I think that's it for the comparison. And the main reason why I brought out the AGE-3 Fortress and Orbital is because of the design aspects. So let's go over the Fortress first. So when I first saw this kid, definitely those legs definitely reminded me of the AGE-3 Fortress. And I was thinking, hey, did they actually do it? And I'm going to say no, but you can definitely see the concept was from the Orbital, the Fortress. It definitely has the same yellow parts on the side. Kind of similar color, but not exactly, but still you can see why I brought this out. And by the way, the AGE-3 Fortress and Orbital are pretty good kits, so do try it out. I personally love AGE kits, for those who didn't know. And now the Orbital frame. Now the main reason I brought this one out is, number one, is basically the side skirts. These side skirts look very familiar to me, but luckily they are not the exact same parts. They actually, the one from the AGE Magnum is actually a much more simple part. This is like a single piece, while this one actually had different parts to attach. So definitely a simplified version of that. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so let's go over the articulation. So I am going to admit that those extra funnels do get in the way time to time. So yeah, just bear with me. So number one, let's go over the head. So the head, as I mentioned, is pretty much still maintains the same build, but yeah, it was a little bit extra twist, like having a orange chin and such. The eyes are a sticker, and the top head section is still a sticker as usual. So, and we can definitely see, like, it really, instead of going with the same style or design, they went with something similar as the AGE-2 Magnum style. So you can go down that much, up that much, and then 360 should be possible because the neck joint is a polycap. Oh boy. And yes, as you can see, these parts can be detached as well. Instead of, like, I believe the AGE-2 Magnum, you have to detach them one by one, but this one is actually attached to a separate shoulder piece, which you can take it off. And this actually does have a function as well, where like this, you can actually make a bird mode. I forgot what they call this, but in the manual they do mention this as the tri-bird / tri-funnel. So yeah, you can make this in this form, and this is actually a dots cannon. That is a dots cannon is a very powerful weapon, and to imagine that this thing can fly around and shoot it on its own, that is amazing. And one thing I really liked about it is the shoulders. You can see there is a AE symbol, which pretty much means for age, I would assume. So yeah, so I'm actually going to take this off just for the sake of it. So the articulation should be the same, but it's just more a hassle to show in front of camera. So the arm articulation, as expected from an AGE-1 normal base kit, it has a pretty excellent articulation. So you get a double jointed bend going on there, and then you can still go 360. Whoops. As well, and then you can go 360 on the lower arm as well. For those who are wondering, yes, it's a peg connection, but you still have your forward and backward shoulder movement. That was very good. And then you can go side about 90 degrees. And if you see the arm, I should also mention this. Whoops. So this kit does not actually come with any beam saber hilt. I should mention that because these are the parts or areas that you actually plug in the beam sabers. And just like the AGE-1 normal kit, you still have this part where you can take it out, and yeah, so the master grade of the AGE-1 normal, you can actually rotate the lower arm like that, but this one, being an AGE kit, they didn't implement that, but still, yeah, you can always change the position of these parts on the arm. Alright, let's get the backpack. Now the backpack, here we go. So it's definitely, you can see the lower thruster is still there, but the back section has changed a lot. You can see the spoilers are now different, more similar to the AGE-2 Magnum. And yeah, we have this part which connects this part into the back like that. So here we have the cape. Definitely liking the cape because we barely get any kits that actually give you capes in these type of formats. So yeah. And yes, I am aware about the RG Crossbone cape. You don't need to mention me. I also built the RG Crossbone too. Okay, and let's see what we got other than that. So I already mentioned the back skirt having the beam saber. The beam rifle holder, and the main body. There's not much of an ab crunch going on because the AGE-1 normal also didn't really have of such thing, but we still do get a decent rotation. But as you just saw, these that could kind of pop out the side skirts, so just be aware. Okay, hopefully it can go back in, because I believe it should go back in. Okay, I'll put that back in later. So once again, obviously the age system on the chest is a sticker. If you buy the master grade, that part should be actually the green section here should be a clear piece, if I remember correctly. So up to this point, there another sticker that you should be using is on the backpack. These yellow stickers right over here. So that's not too bad when you actually think about it. And other than that, we still have the basic head camera on the back. So very basic stickers up to the the upper part of the body. So on the front skirts, so the front skirts are kind of odd. Now I'm not talking about the front skirts itself, it's just that because of the design of the knees, it will get in the way. But these yellow sections in the middle right over here are stickers. Alright, so once again, these come in as a single piece, but you can separate them if you want to do so. And then one of the stickers that you're supposed to use is on here. The yellow stickers was supposed to be wrapped around here, but I decided not to use it because I really don't like wrapping around stickers on certain parts. And the back skirt, I believe these sections, the top sections here, are supposed to be yellow, so they give you those giant yellow stickers, which I decided not to use any of them. So far we've seen like the basics. So we've seen the eyes, the head cameras, the age system here, and then we've seen these two where they go. We see, or they're supposed to go, even the back skirts as well. And then here we have the 10 and 11, which is actually on the front skirt. So only stickers left are these four, these two, and this one. And I already mentioned this is the stickers for the card holding hand. So when you think about it, the sticker sheet may look a lot, but it's not really that bad. The back skirts also move as well like that. But these are the ones that you don't really separate. Okay, so let's see what we got on the legs. So the legs, so here are the stickers. Here you have these two yellow stickers on each side, so that's 4 in total. So we still get your typical side swivel going on here, and with the side skirts moving out, and you can go to the side 90 degrees, and you can go not so much on the forward because of the knee. So you're gonna have to move. You're gonna have to like wiggle your way through. You can go forward about that much, and then back should be able to go a decent amount because the back skirt does move as well. And to the side as well. That's pretty good. And then bend wise, we get a pretty nice bend going on there. And then let's see what we got. We got these parts that actually move around, and then this front part as well. Alright, so other than that, let's see what else we got. Yeah, on the feet there is one more sticker. This section right over here is a sticker right over here. So and you can barely tell it was a sticker until I pointed it out. So that's not too bad actually. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the kit, so now it's going to be about the demonstration. And this kit does have a good amount of like equipment demonstration to do, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So basically I'm doing the typical sniping pose with the DOTS rifle, and then as for those funnel effect parts, I decided to give them a separate action base. So as I mentioned, these action base, not these action bases, these funnel parts, the tri-age wing or the tri-age bird parts, is that they also work as the tri-bird or tri-funnels work also as a DOTS cannon. So that is a very powerful weapon going on here. So yeah, you can do a nice sniping pose, but my opinion regarding like these type of funnel type weapons is always that there's not much of a way to actually show them pretty well. You always need these type of action bases to do so. And always like these type of weapons, like when you take it off from the kit becomes very empty looking. Another thing that the manual mentions is that you can do something similar as the AGE-3 orbital legs, feet, where you can flatten them out like that. Is that on the manual they don't really explain this, but they can just tell you that you can flip this up, do this, and yeah, do that. You can always do that. I'm not really sure what they really didn't really explain that, but they just tell you can do that as well. Alright, so we've seen that, so I'll be right back with the cave effect part and the beam sabers. Okay, so here we have the beam saber effect parts, the cave effect parts, and everything pretty much on the kit except for the DOTS rifle. So currently I gave it the shorter beam saber, but you do get both the shorter and the long one, 2 each, so you can always use your preference. But when it comes to these arm types, I always prefer to have the shorter ones. And compared to like the AGE-3 series, they would always have it like this on the flatter side, but this one is actually on the other side, so kind of an odd angle, but still I guess it still works since it is a beam saber. So and once again I gave it the card hand. Definitely love do love the looks on it, but really curious on how this will work, because it does also mention that this mostly also like uses these cards as weapons. So who knows what these will do. One thing I should also mention, while I was holding the Dots rifle, if you want to hold the Dots rifle, the beam saber part, these parts should be on the side, not on the bottom section. They do tell you to, on the manual to do that, and it took me a while to understand what the manual meant by that. You can lower this section down. Is that what this means? Basically, when the moves can also fire the Dots cannon on its own without deploying the wings or the birds. Alright, so we've seen that, so I'll be right back. Now finally, the only part we have left is the giant sword effect part, and I'll try to bring that one right now, so I'll be right back. Okay, so here we have the big sword called the Tri-Slash-Blade. As much as I really love the way how this blade looks, it was not easy, well, right now I actually had less of a hard time, but last night posing it something like this was not easy. So currently, as I'm doing it, I'm giving it the double hand pose. But according to the manual, the way how they use it is basically Moses is using only one hand, and it seems like to be on airborne. So just for the sake of balance and the way how the heavy the sword is, I guess they wanted you to use this as a support. But I just wanted to mention, if you do the double hand pose, it's not really that necessary. Of course, last night the only problem with my figure or my kit was that the right hand tend to pop out a little bit too easily, which is why I had a little bit trouble. So currently, there's two ways to wield the sword. So currently, I'm doing the double hand pose with the hammer looking part. So I'm gonna take this off, and just to give you guys an idea how tall this weapon is, yeah, it's definitely one of those long weapons. So currently, here we have the sword. So currently, this is how it works. So you have this part right here, which I attached. This allows it to have a much longer handle, but you can take this off. Originally, and they want you to do is pull this section out to have a much more smaller handle, but this type of handle only tends to work on with a single hand. So yeah, it's really your choice on which to do. And I'm gonna say that's pretty much it for the review. So anybody who really liked the AGE-2 Magnum or just like the AGE series in general, I would say just get this kit, because once again, it's really hard to see anything that's related to AGE these days. So, and since the champion is a AGE-2 or was an AGE-2 user to now becoming an AGE-1 user, we might actually see more reference to Gundam AGE stuff as well. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the newly released Gundam AGE Magnum. If you guys got any questions or requests, you can comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.